Hello, everyone. I honestly actually just realized that yesterday was my day one to my challenge. And even though that story was not as graphic or detailed as some of these stories are going to be, I do still need to remind you guys of, I need to give you guys my trigger warnings. So, this story and most stories I'm going to be be sharing with you guys. They're going to include experiences of domestic violence, emotional pain, abuse of all sorts of types of ways. So if you're feeling vulnerable, please prioritize your safety and your self care before watching. Just make sure that you're okay, because I want to make sure that you understand that you're not alone. And this healing journey is not just about me, it's about us healing. So I don't want to do anything or say anything that's going to cause any trauma. Oh, my eye. Sorry, you guys. I just woke up. I did wash my face, I promise. um, so I want to make sure that everyone is understanding and aware that this is a challenge that's going to be talking about things that has happened to me that are triggering. Not can be, but they will be triggering. So today is one of those days. The story that I have today is most likely going to be very triggering for a lot. So I just want to say hello to my beautiful souls. Welcome to day two of my story, My Strength 365-day challenge. I'm PJ, and every day for the next year, I'm going to be showing up and showing you guys a real part of my journey. I'm going to be sharing a real story from my actual life that is raw and unfiltered to honor what it means to rise and to survive. So if you've ever been told that your story is too much, too messy, or too painful, this space is for you. If this story kind of moves you, if any of my stories move you, please comment, subscribe, like, share, and let's make sure that no survivors have to heal in silence or alone. Because that's really what I am doing this for, to make sure that we are able to be together. So today's story isn't about a stranger, someone I didn't know, or some new wound that opened up. It's about one of those old ones that still makes me feel really small sometimes, and I still work with it. I've accomplished and overcome this a lot. So just for anyone who thinks that I'm still like depressed or sad, I have my days. We're all going to have our days where certain things in our past affects us. But I still feel like I've gained a lot of power back from this particular story by actually sharing this story with you guys today. Um, I was only 18 years old. I was just like a baby still, basically. I didn't know anything about life. I had just had my firstborn son. I believe I was he wasn't even a year. He was like crawling almost, like maybe about 9, 10 months old. And I was living with my ex's sister and her kids. It was me, my ex, who we were currently still together, our son, his sister, and her 5 kids. Now his sister, she wasn't really mean, like not mean in your face. She'll talk a little bit, but she wasn't really a mean person. But she was good at using people until they like had nothing else. She'll find ways to get things from you, and then when you're done, she'll toss you out like you're nothing. Like I don't care if she'll toss you and your kids out. She's she's a difficult one to explain because she says she wants to help, and when she's in that position where she will help you, you feel like she cares about you, but you slowly start to learn that she really doesn't. And I had already been put out by her before. Never him, just me and our son. Even when he was the one that like caused the situation. Like if I had money to pay her my part of the rent, or like at the time I was on public assistance, so I would get food stamps, and I would have to give her my entire book of food stamps. And even if he took $10 off that book, she's putting me out and not giving me anything back. By the way, she's taking what she's gonna take, and like, well, it's not my fault. You shouldn't have gave it to him. So it was like I had to definitely be careful about making sure she had everything she asked for. And what she asked for was almost everything I had. I think she would probably leave me with 50, $60 a month to survive, to get my son the things that he needed. I mean, she even took WIC. When I say everything, I mean everything. So this particular day, I was kind of walking on the eggshells because I knew she was mad at me. I don't remember what it was, but I knew she was mad at me again, and I could feel her, getting ready to get that "you need to get out" vibe. I felt that energy in the air. And that day, we were supposed to, me and my ex were supposed to take my son to see my mom, because at this time she was sober. She has had her times when she was sober for a couple of years, and this was one of those times that she hadn't been drinking for a couple of years. So I felt okay about letting her be around my baby. I was just ready to get out of that house and just kind of let the tension pass and let things just kind of move on by. But he wasn't ready to leave yet. He had the car. Um, I didn't know how to drive. He would not allow me to drive. He never showed me how to drive. He didn't want me to drive. And on top of that, the car he had was a manual. It was a stick shift. So I can't drive an automatic. I really can't drive a manual at all. So I had to wait. He told me to wait till he was done playing his game, and then he'll take us to go see my mom. So I sat outside on the front porch in the heat. Now, if anybody is from the area that I am from, if you're watching this and you know me, you know where we grew up. It's not, it's not cold outside. So I'm sitting outside in the heat and I'm just waiting on him. I'm sitting there. I don't have any money to catch the bus. I don't have any power to get him to come on. I'm in a position where I'm in no peace. I have no peace. And then his younger sister, she comes over to visit. She doesn't live there, but she always comes over, and she always got something slick to say. She always, they have a mouth on them. And she starts making her little comments or whatever. And during the time she comes over, the older sister that I'm living with, she comes out. She's sitting on the front porch as well. I'm just sitting there. I'm not saying anything. I just have my son. I'm playing with him. And the younger sister starts saying little things, and this kind of fuels the other sister to start making little comments like, I know she better not go back in that house. That's all I know. I just kind of ignored them. I'm like, whatever, because I just really don't want to do this. I'm over here by myself with a whole family who will jump me. They will jump me, and I'm just like, okay, I don't want to do this. So I just wanted to go see my mom and just breathe for a minute. So it's like over an hour I'm waiting for him to finish playing the game. And I went back inside and I kind of stood in front of the TV and I'm like, hey, are we going or not? And he cussed me out. He cussed me out like a dog, told me, get out of the way. And I kind of snapped. Not even a real snap. I was just like, ugh, I knew you weren't going to take me. I knew you were going to take me to see my mom. I just kind of walked out of the porch. And that's when he jumped up. He paused his game. He jumped up. He walked out the door behind me. And he was like, get your ass in the backyard. He makes this little face when he's mad. Go to the backyard. And I was just like, oh, here we go. So I get up. Because if I don't go to the backyard, he's going to drag me back there anyway, honestly. He's not just going to let me say, no, I don't want to go. So I followed him to the backyard. I'm holding our son. Again, he's about 10 months, not a full year yet, close to a year. And he turned around. He asked me, he was like, what you say? So I started to tell him what I said, but then he slapped me. He slapped me really hard. I was just like, oh, God, here we go. So I turned around and I just started cuddling my son because I didn't want him to get hit because he slaps me across my face, and my son, I'm holding him at face level. So I have to protect him. So I turned to shield my baby, and then he slaps me again, hard. And the second time, I could just feel my face start to swell up really bad. My eye just immediately swelled shut. I didn't know this at the time, but the blood vessels in my eyes were, but he burst them out. Like my eyes were completely blood red. Like every single eye. I don't care which way I turn my eye. All you see is the blood in my eye from him busting the blood vessels in my eye. And I didn't cry. I just kind of held my son there, hoping that he wouldn't get hurt. And when I walked back to the front of the yard, his sisters looked at me and they kind of just froze. What? And his sister that we were living with, she starts yelling at him. But she's not yelling at him for hitting me. She's yelling at me for hitting me at her house. She's like, next time you take that shit somewhere else. Don't do that at my house. And I'm just like, really? That's what you care about? Okay. But then once he realized, I guess I don't even know what made him decide, but that moment he was just like, "Come on, let me take you to your mom's house." I'm just like, "Okay, let's go to my mom's house." I remember just kind of sitting in the car, hoping that she would see me looking like this and she would want to protect me. Like, what did you do to my daughter, dude? You think are you just that bold that you're just gonna beat on my child and then bring her to my house? That she would see my face bruised and my eyes bloody red, and like this is not okay. But when we got there, she looked at my face. She looked at my face and she said, "Did you do that to her?" He told the truth. He didn't lie. Yeah. And then she said to him, "I understand." What? She said, "I understand. She has a smart ass mouth. Just don't bring her back over here like that again. You wait till her face is better next time." And I'm just standing there looking at her. And then she looked at me. And before she says anything else to me, she says anything to me, she kind of looks at him and tells him, like, don't hurt that baby though. She, of course, makes sure that she lets him know not to hurt our son. But that was pretty much it. And then she turns and looks at me and she says, "You need to learn how to keep your mouth shut if you don't want to get the shit slapped out of you." I was just like, okay. And at that moment, I realized something that took me years to unlearn. It took me years to unlearn this. I thought that I caused that because of what I said. I thought my voice was a weapon against me, but it was not. My voice was never the problem. Their cruelty, their whatever they were going through, they're the problem. It was not me. But I buried that deep inside of me, that I was the problem, that I couldn't speak. Every time I say something, it would cause a problem because I've been told for years that my mouth was always a problem. Every time I say something, someone wants to get mad at me because of the way I respond to something that they do. It may not be something that they want to hear, so they get angry with me, and then of course it's my fault. And it shaped so much about me, how I moved, how I shrunk down to kind of make myself not be too much, and how I doubted myself. And this time I take a piece of that back. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm taking a piece of that back. Because, I mean, really? Because you say something to someone that gives them the right to slap you or hit you or yell at you or gaslight you or try to do anything that makes you feel like your response to what they are doing to you is wrong, especially if you're not being violent or disrespectful to them. Just because they don't agree with what you're saying to them, that doesn't give them the right to mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, or whatever other types of abuse there. That doesn't give them the right to abuse you because they don't agree with what you have said to them. So let me ask you, have you ever been punished for using your voice? And if you have, which a lot of people in our situation have, how has that shaped your sense of safety in relationships today? Because with me, I had to dumb myself down for years. I was ashamed to talk about my education. I was afraid to show how smart I may have or may not have been. I was afraid to give my opinion. I just let people run over me completely. Okay, just do whatever you want. Because I don't want to be hit. I don't want to, I'm being told even by my mom, like, that mouth gonna get you fucked up, basically. Oh, and excuse you guys, I do curse. Sorry if that offends anyone, because that's just, I'm just gonna be me. But basically, that's what that was. I'm being told that my mouth, because I do not allow people to run over me, or I question things that doesn't make sense as far as why are you doing this to me? To me. Now, I'm not, whatever you're doing with your life, if I don't question what you're doing with your business, it's not affecting me. I get that. But if I'm questioning why are you doing things to me, then I'm going to be abused. No, that's not ever okay. So I had to reframe that old belief. The old belief was if I just keep my mouth shut, I wouldn't be hurt. First off, that's a lie. That is a lie. Keeping your mouth shut and letting people run over you is not going to prevent you from being hurt. You're going to hear in this 365 day, well, 300 now this is 363 days I have left. Stories where I didn't say anything and I was still abused. I was still mistreated. I mean, you heard the story yesterday with my very first share was someone jumping on social media and basically cyberbullying me. I never said anything to that person. So sometimes keeping your mouth shut does not prevent you from being hurt. So if that is your belief, please, whatever we have to do to get that out of your mind, we need to get that out of your mind, because silence is not equal safety. It is not. So my new truth is I did not deserve to be hurt ever, ever. Speaking up is not the problem. Their violence, his violence, or the ways they respond to you speaking your truth. If it is in a negative way or a hurtful way, that's the problem. If they don't know how to love you enough to respect that your feelings actually matter and theirs are not the only ones that matters, then that's their problem. It's not yours, and it does not mean that they have a right to mistreat, abuse, neglect, or treat you in any negative way because you're saying, hey, I really don't like that. Establishing boundaries is not a reason for abuse. Speaking the truth is not a reason for abuse. Me being slapped because I expressed that I knew, because honestly I don't believe if I would have never said anything to him that he would have going to take me, because he's done that before. It wasn't the first time, you know. So it's like, whatever, he's not going to take me. But so that means I get slapped so hard that you bust the blood vessels in my eye, and my eye was swollen for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. That was not called for. I mean, I would have been okay if he would have just responded back in a smart mouth way, like, you don't know what I'm going to do. You know, I would have been fine with that. But to get up and to just do that while I'm holding our child, like, no. So another new truth, because this is something else that I think that is important for us to understand. Their violence was their choice. The way that their choices to abuse you, to gaslight you, to beat you, to lock you away, to isolate you, or whatever it is that they do because of you expressing your feelings. That is their choice. My voice deserves to be heard. Don't put yourself in any dangerous situations because I'm telling you that your voice deserves to be heard. What I'm saying is, if you are in that situation, don't blame yourself. It's not your fault. You know, we're going to talk about getting out of those situations. Those are more in my other platforms, my podcast. We talk about a lot of things. I'm going to be talking more about safety plans and getting out of those situations if you're still in those situations. So follow me, subscribe to my channel, and you can watch my podcast every Friday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And you'll hear stories of survival and how they escaped. And you'll also hear me talk about how to get out of those situations, because your voice does deserve to be heard. So what I have to tell myself every day, because it's not easy, because every day someone's going to try to silence you. And you have to tell yourself, I will never again believe that my silence is safety. My voice is sacred, and I stand in its power. My voice is not a weapon, it's my freedom. And I will never silence myself to make someone else feel comfortable. That is something that I had to learn. And I am really standing on that today. You know, I can say that I am learning in a way to communicate so that it comes off as respectfully as possible. Now, if you choose to take it in a disrespectful way and react, not respond, react in a disrespectful way instead of expressing to me your feelings and allowing it to make you act in a way that is inappropriate, again, that is your choice. It is not my fault, because I don't ever disrespect anyone. I will never disrespect anyone. If I have a feeling of something that you're doing to me, I'm going to express it to you, and I'm going to tell you that in the most respectful way possible. So the mini empowerment challenge: write things that you were told not to say, or things that you have said that you know has gotten you into that you've had to have some type of consequence for in a negative way. Like, write it down. I'm calling it the reclamation journaling. So you just get a notebook, write down things that you were not allowed to say. It could be one thing, it could be 12 things, however many things that you feel like you need to write down in on this page. Write down things that you were not allowed to say. Then write a list of things. Then write the things, I'm sorry, write, my brain is not here. Then write a list of the things that you were told to shut up about. Like just shut up. Write your feelings about how those made you feel when you were told that you couldn't say, you hurt my feelings. And they say, shut up about it. Write down how that made you feel. Write down your truth. Write down your pain. The things that they told you that you needed to shut up about. I'm saying this wrong. Now it's coming out right. So the things that you were silenced about, write down how those things made you feel. The situation with me saying, hey, you weren't going to take me to my mom's. I felt frustration. Um, I felt afraid. Oh, I did skip that part. When he did that to me, the feelings I felt was I felt alone. I felt afraid. I felt betrayed because my mother should have been there to protect me. And I felt like I was lost. I felt like I didn't have anybody. And I felt like no one cared about what this man was doing to me because his sisters were laughing at me. My mother was laughing at me. He didn't care. So that's what this mini empowerment challenge is. It is for you to write down all of the things that you were told you were not allowed to speak up about, and write your feelings, your truth, and your pain. Don't hold back. You can write with anger, with rage. Write now. Not don't act. You write. This is where you can get it all right truthfully. Write with your full self and just let it pour out. Let it pour out. Then write the comebacks that you had to swallow, that you had to eat, but when you had to bite your tongue. Write down what you wanted to say. Write down the cries for help when you were muted. Write down the truths that you were forced to keep, that you were forced to bury about each one of those situations. And then choose one sentence from that list and say it out loud to yourself in the mirror. And you can do that every day. Every day. You're reteaching your body that your voice is not dangerous, it's divine. Do this whenever you feel small. Do this whenever you feel like you need to feel a little more empowered. Say it to your younger self. Say it for her or for him or for them. But say it for you so that you know that your voice is not dangerous. It is not a weapon. It should not ever be used to attack you. Ever. So I want to thank you guys for being here for my day 2 challenge of my story, my strength. So today is I came with a really difficult story. Um, Again, I don't really feel like that has a lot of power over me anymore. Speaking it out loud, of course, I do get some of those lingering emotions, those feelings. I'm going to have to reset and meditate and reframe. This helps me. Speaking it out loud actually does help me, but it's more of the anger. To say that I don't have any of the anger that could come along with it, I'm not going to say, because again, this man slapped me until my eyes swelled shut. I was a child and I was alone. And my mother said, hey, if you don't shut up, you're going to keep getting slapped. So, like, I was in a really bad place. And the only thing that I had to love me was this child that I had to protect, and I'd allow myself to be attacked so that this child could be safe. So I did do the best that I could with what I had. But I do want to thank you again for being here on my day 2. So I want to um, do my survivor shout out in the spotlight. So today I want to honor a woman whose story and wisdom has shaped the healing journeys of millions, including my own. Today we honor Miss Ayana. I know you guys know of her. If you haven't, oh my goodness, she is a powerhouse of healing, truth, and transformation. Before she was a best-selling author, a TV host, or a spiritual teacher, she was herself a survivor. She was born into her pain. Her mother died when she was really young, about 2 years old, and Ayana spent her early years in an abusive environment. She dealt with childhood abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence. She lost a child. She went through homelessness, toxic relationships, and she navigated heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak while trying to raise her child and find a way. And she, through all that, she kept rising. She kept growing. She became a spiritual leader, a lawyer, a truth teller who didn't sugarcoat pain, but transformed her pain and the pain of others into powers. And her TV show on Ayana Fixed My Life, she sat across from people whose lives were falling apart, and she offered what few could ever offer: raw, honest, soul deep healing. And not because she had it easy, because obviously you see she hasn't, because she has lived through the storm and she found her way out. She once said, I've fallen, I've risen, I've hurt, I've healed. I have no shame, and I have no shame about my story because my scars prove that I survived. Her life reminds us that healing is not about perfection, it's about owning your story, learning from your pain, and daring to love yourself through every broken piece. Ayana didn't just heal herself, she gave permission for an entire generation to do the same. So, to Miss Ayana, I want to thank you so much. Thank you for showing survivors like me what it looks like to heal, because healing is not perfect. It is not perfect at all. And I just want to thank you for bringing that to light, because it's not going to, it's not easy to tell, it's not easy to live through that, but it's even harder to tell your story. So thank you. Thank you, because you didn't just survive, you paved the way. You paved a way, and I'm walking in that now because you walked in it first. So if this story made you feel something, again, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. Not for algorithms, but so that another survivor knows that they are not alone. And as always, your story doesn't have to end in pain. It can begin in power. See you tomorrow for day 3. I love you guys. Stay strong.